Hello guys, in today's video in front of us is the TWOFISH V2 MAX, a EU legal electric scooter that at first glance looks like a serious city and off-road machine, but at the same time remains much more affordable than many well-known premium models. This model tries to offer much more powerful engine, aggressive look, rich equipment, comfortable ride and enough power for bad asphalt and even light off-road. For more details, be sure to watch this TWOFISH V2 MAX e-scooter video review. The box in which the scooter comes immediately makes it clear that it is not lightweight city model. The package is large, massive and quite heavy, which is not surprising considering that the scooter itself weighs about 30 kilograms. After opening the box, we immediately noticed that the packaging was very neat and well protected. There is a lot inside the package, so let's start in order. Original travel hard case that will mount on the handlebars, multifunctional all-in-one tool, we even got this handy phone holder and this 4-digit cable lock. There is also charger with adequate EU power adapter, and finally of course a detailed owner's manual and some rubber accessories. A big plus is the fact that this scooter comes almost fully assembled. You mostly need to install the handlebars and check a few screws before the first ride. The whole process only takes a few minutes and it's very simple, even for people who have never assembled the electric scooter before. After a few minutes we are out for the first look and test. When you fully assemble it, the TWOFISH V2 MAX in a yellow-black color combination looks really powerful. The wide standing platform, 10-inch vacuum tires, double suspension and aggressive frame lines give it a very serious look. This is definitely not a scooter that goes unnoticed. It looks especially good when all the LED lights and the side illuminated strips are turned on, which further emphasizes the futuristic look of the entire scooter. This is definitely not a scooter that you will park somewhere on the side. People often notice it and turn around after it, especially during evening rides when the LED light comes into play. The first feeling when you step on it is very interesting because the scooter seems much more stable and serious than most classic city models. The width of the platform itself allows for a very comfortable leg position even during longer rides, while the height from the ground gives additional sense of security when crossing holes, curbs and poor roads. Of course, the weight of about 30 kilograms is immediately felt, but it is precisely this weight that gives a sense of seriousness and stability during riding that is difficult to achieve with the lightweight urban models. The frame is made of aluminum alloy and the entire structure leaves a very compact and robust impression. The maximum load capacity of 120 kilograms further confirms that this model is intended for more serious adult riders. One of the main things about this model is definitely its drive system. TWOFISH V2 MAX uses an 800-watt motor that develops as much as 1640-watt peak power, and this is really felt from the first touch over thumb throttle. Acceleration is very strong and the scooter pulls without any problems, even with the heavy driver. What we particularly like is the way that the scooter delivers power. It does not seem nervous or aggressive in an unpleasant way, but very smooth and controlled. Even when a strong acceleration, the feeling of stability remains very good. On flat roads, the scooter easily maintains a maximum speed of 25 km per hour and seems to still have plenty of power in reserve. This is precisely why acceleration leaves a very good impression, even with the EU speed limits. In urban conditions, the 25 km per hour actually seems quite fast enough, especially when we consider how quickly the scooter reaches that speed. Even under higher loads, the engine retained a very decent amount of power. One of the things that contributes the most of the overall feeling of comfort is certainly the really excellent floating suspension. The TWOFISH V2 MAX use a double spring suspension at the front and rear, and we must admit that they surprise us very pleasantly. On poor asphalt holes and bumps, the difference compared to the classic city models immediately becomes obvious. The scooter passes over holes and vibrations much more quietly, and this is exactly what makes longer rides much less tiring. During testing, we drove it on various surfaces, including poor asphalt, city holes, and even slightly lighter gravel, and that is when it comes to the point of how much the suspension helps in everyday driving. Of course, this is not a hardcore off-road model like much more expensive dual motors beast, but for occasional off-road and poorer city roads it provides to be extremely capable. It's combination of large tires and suspension that gives it much more serious feel while driving than we would expect in this price range. The large 10-inch vacuum tires also play a big role in stability and safety. The tires provide very good grip on asphalt, and the scooter feels much more stable in corners than small city models with smaller wheels. At a higher speed, the feeling of safety remains very good thanks to the long wheelbase and the weight of the structure itself. It is precisely this massiveness that gives additional confidence while driving. The brakes also left a very positive impression during testing. There are disc brakes at the front and the rear which provide a sufficient stopping power for this type of the scooter. At the speed we drove, the scooter stops very safely and stably. The brake levers have a good feel under the fingers and allow a very precise dosing of the braking force. During sudden braking, the scooter remains relatively stable and does not seem nervous. The overall feeling of safety during braking was very positive. The scooter comes with 3 speed modes that allow you to adapt to the different situations. The first mode is suitable for slower and more relaxed riding, while the third mode allows for maximum performance that the U version offers. The difference between the modes are clearly noticeable when riding and allow the rider to adapt the scooter's behavior much more easily to different road conditions. One of the more interesting modern functions is certainly NFC unlocking. Instead of a classic key, it is enough to bring the NFC card closer and the scooter is activated immediately. The entire system looks modern, practical and very easy to use. Such details further enhance the overall impression of a modern and technologically advanced product. The large LCD screen shows all the most important informations such as speed, battery status, mileage and the selected driving mode. The data is large enough and clear, but we would like the backlight to be brighter than it is now. The controls are logically arranged and quickly become intuitive to use. Switching modes and activate other functions can be done without taking too much attention away from the road. After a short period of use, all controls feels completely natural while riding. A very useful addition is the USB port for the charging your phone. The lighting is another thing that leaves a very good impression. The front light is strong enough for safer driving at night, and it is especially effective when the additional LEDs in the shape of the X are lit, while the rear red light clearly signals braking. There are also integrated turn signals that certainly improves visibility and your intentions in traffic. But the real effect comes to the fore during evening rides when all the side LED lights are lit. The scooter looks much more futuristic and expensive than it actually is, further emphasizing the aggressive design of the entire model. One of the most important technical elements is certainly the 48-watt 20-amp-hour battery, which on paper promises a range of up to about 50 kilometers in ideal conditions. Of course, as with the all-electric vehicles, the actual range depends on the weight of the driver, the terrain configuration, driving style and the amount of acceleration. During our testing, the real range was closer to about 35 to 40 kilometers, with a combination of a city driving and somehow more aggressive acceleration. For most users, this is still more than enough for everyday driving without constantly thinking about charging. And charging takes a few hours, so the smartest thing is to leave the battery charging when you go to bed, and in the morning it will be full. During a few days of use, the battery left a very positive impression in terms of consistency and reliability. Despite its robust construction, the scooter features a quick fold mechanism, making it easy to prepare for transport or storage. Just release the safety mechanism on the steering column and the entire scooter folds into a compact shape. When folded, its dimensions become relatively compact, which means that you can store it in the trunk of a car or more easily transport and store it in a garage or apartment. In real city driving, after a few days of use, we can say that the TWOFISH V2 MAX gives a feeling of a very serious and capable electric scooter that offers much more than we would expect in this price range. Its biggest advantages are definitely a powerful engine, very good stability, comfortable suspension, large tires and a feeling of robustness while driving. We especially like that the scooter does not seem like another cheap Chinese model, but leaves a much stronger and a higher quality impression. The combination of modern equipment and very decent performance further increases the overall value of the entire package. The TWOFISH V2 MAX is not perfect, and there are more luxurious models with even better suspension, stronger engines and premium finish, but they often cost many times more. That is precisely why this model seems so interesting, because it tries to offer the experience of a much more serious scooter at a much more affordable price. So if you are looking for an electric scooter that looks aggressive, offers very good stability, has enough power and at the same time offers a very good price-performance ratio, the TWOFISH V2 MAX is definitely one of the more interesting models that you can currently find on the market. The official purchase link is in the video description below. Pay attention to the price and availability because quantities are limited, and if you are considering the TWOFISH V2 MAX e-scooter for your road companion, maybe now is the right time to get it before it disappears from stock. And if this review helped you, leave a like, subscribe and see you in the next video. Until then, bye.